Now, you have seen that using Notepad++, you do get some help, but you still need to leave the application to be able to run the code. With Visual Studio Code and other IDEs, you're going to get far better integration with the code itself, and you are going to be able to execute the code from within. So why don't we take a look at using Visual Studio Code on our Windows system? If you're taking Python seriously, you're going to want to use an integrated development environment to work with your Python scripts. Now, of course, we can move out to our Windows system where we have Visual Studio Code installed. It doesn't come with Microsoft Windows, but is a Microsoft product. You can install it from the Microsoft Store, or as we did, from ninenight.com, where we installed Python, Notepad++, as well as Visual Studio Code. So let's fire this up. Visual Studio Code is a popular IDE. Now that it's opened, let's go through and open a folder. Very often when we're working with Python, we will have project folders. A project folder will consist of one or more Python elements that make up your application. I'm going to navigate through to my Documents directory, and from here I can choose to create a new folder, and I'm just going to call it Project 1. The name doesn't really matter for the moment, this is just a demonstration. Now with Project 1 selected, I can choose the button Select Folder, and we open up that project, and I can go ahead and then say, look, I trust the author. The author's going to be me. Now we don't know, or Visual Studio Code doesn't know what type of project this is yet. So it's an empty folder with nothing in it. I can move across to the plus icon and the file and choose New File. When I give it a name and crucially the extension, it's going to understand what type of file it is. So I've got my hello.py file that I'm going to create. This is a new file, but we have the Python icon next to it. We can see towards the right-hand side of the screen that the IDE would like to install an extension so it knows how to work with Python. With that installed, I can close the welcome screen. And before I start typing, we can move to the bottom right-hand corner where we can see that we are using Python as our language for this file. And we can even see the version of Python that we are working with and the path through to the Python interpreter. As I start writing my code, we're going to get a lot more help than we did when we were looking at Notepad++. So again, I can see I've got my print function, and we can also open up part of the documentation so we can see when I open up the print dialog, we can choose then that we print our values, but with extra options such as the separator and the end that we can start including. So we get a lot more help with access through to the documentation. As I type one single quote, I don't have to worry about ending my single quotes because automatically the IDE is going to create the two quotes for me. So I just need to worry about typing my message. With my print statement nicely created, I can move across now and choose the little diamond on the top right-hand side so I can execute the file from here as well. And you can see it opens up a terminal towards the bottom and I get the hello world printing. So the advantage that I have with the integrated development environment is I can develop my code and execute the code from the one application. So why don't we extend our code just as we did in Notepad++ with that simple if condition. So I can put in if 2 is equal, don't forget the 2 equal sign. So if 2 is equal to 2, followed by the colon, we automatically indent as we did before, And again, I can get into the same print statement as we had, with the same help being available to me. So we can see that this is fully integrated with Python and the Python documentation, and look how quickly it is for me to be able to write my code, make changes to it, and then move across and execute again. So whilst the condition is true, we see the second line, changing it to 2 is equal to 3, it's no longer true, so we only get the single line printing out. But this then really speeds up your development, integrating everything into the one application. I can now close out of this, and we're finished looking at Visual Studio Code for the moment, and we're going to move across to our Linux system to look at working with Linux.